Hello world and good day everyone. It is your boy, the Halal Developer, and I'm back again to give you the best of what I will be giving here in my channel. You are welcome to the second episode of our First Class Goal series. But this episode is not the usual where we have a first class graduate to be interviewed. This episode is motivated from a book I read titled Who Moved My Cheese, and it was authored by Dr. Spencer Johnson. We are going to look into this book, myself and my guest today, who you will get to see in the next few seconds of this video. Please don't you forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share to your friends and family, especially those in the school, universities, and the likes. With so much love from RMC, I will see you on the tech side. All right. She'll give a full intro of herself, but the bit I know about her is what I'm going to mention to you all. Our guest today is no other person but a lady again. I'm sorry about that. A guy is coming, he's on his way. A lady again by the name Fatimah Suleiman Adaji. And yeah, she's from Kogi State. No, let me leave that to her.
Wow, after all the intro.
Yeah, you'll be the one to introduce yourself to my audience and to every other person that comes across this video.
Okay. My name is Fatimah Suleiman Adaji from Kogi State here, and
You're a graduate from the
prestigious Kogi State University, now
Wow.
Prince Abubakar Awadus University.
All right, and then you graduated from what department?
History and International Relations.
What makes you a good historian?
Oh, well, my ability to write lengthy.
Oh, all right. So we'll get to know when she's able to still speak plenty or lengthy. So, Fatima, like I mentioned from the intro of the video, I'm sure you heard me well when I said this book was this session of this video, First Class Goal series, the episode 2, is motivated from the book Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. So can you give a brief summary? I'm sure you've gone through the book, you've read it once, twice, thrice, and as many times as possible. Can you give a brief summary about the book?
Now, the book is actually a small book, 39 pages, talking about 4 characters, 2 little humans and 2 mice, named Sniff and Scurry, why the humans are hem and how. Now, from the book, Who Moved My Cheese? The cheese there is a metaphor used to represent money or whatever you're pursuing, while there are other keywords in the book, such as sniff, that's your ability to smell something, scurry, to hurry around something, then hem, it's actually something that resists change, and how is something that adapts to change when he sees that the change will bring something more beneficial. So now the story is telling us about 4 characters that were in the maze. The maze there is a part that is uncomfortable. So we can just translate that to be life in general. You're in search of something and the path towards getting that thing is actually not an easy one. So the Sniff and Scurry, the mice, are characters with simple brains who do not overanalyze things. They just take things as it comes and go with the flow. While the little humans, hem and how, are people that overanalyze things, which in turn make them unattractive and unproductive. It keeps them low for a very long time. Now, the story is about the cheese there, as used in the story, is a form of food they take for nutrients. Initially, when they started off looking for the cheese, they would all run out to the maze and search for the cheese. At some point, they arrived at station C, where they found their cheese and they felt comfortable that they found it. However, the confidence in the cheese, the hem and household, grew to arrogance along the line. So they were comfortable there and they didn't want to move. The Sniff and Scurry, on the other hand, understood that the things were getting low, they could smell the change and they were ready for the worst. And so at some point when they arrived at the station C and they didn't find any of their cheese anymore, they just continued. They didn't overanalyze things. They didn't think what happened, how it happened, where it happened, or who did this or that to them. They just adapted to the change and ran to the maze in search of other cheese. And along the line, they found some cheese and continued their life. Hem and How, on the other hand, when they came to the cheese stations, because they were over comfortable in that zone of theirs, they didn't notice that it was reducing. So when they came one day and they found out that it was no longer there, they were confused. They were what ifing, who did this to us? Why did this happen to us? Somebody has to come to our aid. This shouldn't be happening to us. Why How was trying to explain to him that, okay, it has already happened, let them move ahead. He felt entitled to that sport. He felt that no, 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 no. Somebody has to pay them for what has been done to them. How, on the other hand, tried to convince his friend, but his friend wasn't finding it funny. He was already comfortable. He was scared of what would happen. He wasn't certain of what the future holds for them. That uncertainty that was supposed to make him a better person kept him low. While How, on the other hand, felt that it is better to go in, search for more cheese, other than remaining in one spot, what ifing. And so along the line, when he was going, he got to some place and he found out that, okay, there was cheese in this place at some point, but they were no longer there. And so he began to question himself, what would he have done if he had moved out quickly? His inability to move out of his comfort zone quickly made the cheese that he was supposed to meet in that station taken away by someone. So he moved further. At some point, he got tired and his fear overtook him. And then he began to laugh at himself and asked himself a very vital question. What would I have done, or what will I do if I am not afraid? And then he continued. He kept going, going, going until he finally came to a cheese station and he found a lot of cheese. And so his friend was still at the initial cheese station, waiting for somebody to come back and keep the cheese there. While he had gone through all the hardship, faced all the trials, and got into another cheese station. Sniff and Scurry, on the other hand, who did not overanalyze things, used the try and error method, had arrived at the another cheese station long, long, long before the arrival of How, and they were living their life, their best life. So that's it.
Wow, like
My head they bust.
this was I read this book some months ago, and just this summary you gave made me to remember every chapter of this book. I don't know, but you are good.
Let me feel myself.
Yeah, feel yourself. It's a nice thing to feel yourself. Okay, so now, based on the fact that this is an academic-based series of mine, which is titled First Class Goals, let's bring this whole story into the picture of academics. How will you use this story to advise every single student, including myself and you, on adapting to change, making the next move? And in fact, the funny thing that JAM does to every single one of us, or we have experienced this, the fact that we applied for medicine and we got biology. So how would you use this story to change the mindset of every single viewer of this episode?
So imagine when my admission later came in and I saw history and international relations, and I was like, if it's not law, it's either law or law. Just imagine what my fate would be. I might still be somewhere writing JAM or giving up on academics. But then one vital thing that came for me at that time, I would call it a vital advice, was when my mom said, it's not by what you study. Every knowledge is important. Nothing is useless. What if you're not destined to study law? What if history and international studies is your own path? What if I had hemmed in my comfort zone and just relaxed there and tried everything possible to make sure it has to be law? The thing is, we would definitely not get what we want in life. And it's just natural. That's life. And so we have to adapt with the change. You have to put your passion into it. You have to learn to love what you're doing. There's no crime in trying to write JAM again while you continue with what you find yourself presently. Like the course you're studying presently is not wrong if you try to keep on writing JAM and then continue with your course. So that if one works out, if your passion works out, you can go to it. And if it doesn't, you already have a path to go on with. I have a classmate then, his name is Musa Gidado. He applied for medicine, he ended up with physics. As at his 400 level, he called and was like, Fati, they just gave me admission to study medicine. And I'm like, why not deflect that admission for a year so that you continue with your physics, get that certificate and go back to medicine? You see, that's not time wasting. You just have to adapt with it. And we are even in a digital age. Sometimes you end up with a degree certificate and you might not work with what you study. You have to acquire skills that would give you an edge over people. So,
Very, very good one from my boss again.
Coming down.
Yeah, the reality of this is, I once said in my last video with Dr. Mutiat Adetona, a big shout out to you, a first class graduate of vet medicine. I said in that video that I have this mindset to always be ready for change. Whatever it is, I have my mind stuck that once I get there, I'll try to do my best. And yeah, industrial chemistry to computer science, I accepted the change. I moved very well. I got my degree, still learning my skills. Very important part of the whole thing is we need that skills, because it's not just degrees. You need a skill to make you better. Moving on to our second question. So, Fatima, before reading the book, Who Moved My Cheese, and what year did you read this book?
I read this first last year.
That was 2022.
Yep.
All right. So before reading this book, how have you been able to manage change? When there's a drastic change in your life, how have you been able to cope?
I think in some situation I am Steve. At other situation I am Scurry. At other situation I am How. And at other situation I just hem in my fears.
So basically, like, we all have these 4 characters in us.
Yes, depending on the situation and our cycle of friends. In the situation of How and Hem now, you say How saw the change and he felt that, okay, when we go ahead a bit, things might be better. But he had a friend who was pulling him back because he felt entitled.
Yeah.
But you see Sniff and Scurry, his one smells the change and the other just hurries into action. So they are compatible friends.
Always have a good friend. A good friend is a
Show me your friend and I'll tell you you are.
That's a popular saying. Talking about something very important that I used to not be a fan of. I don't know if you're a fan of it. Can you guess what it is?
No.
Is this popular statement students like to use?
What's that?
School and scam.
Well, I have never been a fan of school na scam.
All right.
It used to irritate me when I hear a lot of people say school na scam. I mean, knowledge is very vital. No knowledge is useless.
Yeah.
I'm going to divert. There's this book I read. I don't know which of Ben Carson's book I read. And he talked about him getting a job that has to do with health. But when he went in for the interview, he was discussing with the person interviewing him and he found out that they just had a passion for music.
Okay.
And so because he didn't look at himself like, okay, I am studying only medicine, so I should focus only on medicine, he was versatile.
Yeah.
He learned about anything that interested him.
Yeah.
So he sought knowledge, versatile knowledge. And then when he got for the interview, it wasn't his knowledge on medicine that gave him the edge ahead other people. It was his ability to converse with the other person on the basis of what the both of them are interested in.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at school as come now, my mom used to say that the clothes you iron and that which is not iron are not the same.
Yeah.
You cannot compare a person that is educated and the person that is not educated. I'll give you an example.
Quick one.
I have a friend that sews. She's educated. She studied one of the social science courses.
Yeah.
And then because she's learned and she sniffs the changes around her and she scurries into action, she started content creation and she made herself visible that she makes dresses. And there's this other guy that knows how to make dress better than this other one that scurries into action.
Yeah.
But he, on the other hand, doesn't want to leave his comfort zone. He feels that digital age, that one are people business. So he doesn't find education intriguing. He just feels that, okay, his skills is enough to make move for him. Yeah. So you see, the visibility this one got has given her an edge over these other ones that have just remained adamant on learning and feel like even the graduates that have certificate, they don't have a job yet and all that. And I keep saying that having a degree certificate or always learning does not mean it's going to put a food on your table automatically. But it makes you think wider. It makes you look at every opportunity and key into it. For example, I didn't study anything that has to do with education, but I am teaching. I did not go to the university to study anything that has to do with management. But yeah, I've learned on project management, and it has given me an edge. I might not have put it into practice in an organization, but in my home, amongst my friends, when we are planning an event, and often you bring all that knowledge into it, and yeah, it's fine. It works out and makes things better.
Wow. All right. So far so good. I have gotten so much value from all that have been mentioned.
Oh, let me gloat.
I don't know, but I've gotten so much value, and thinking of this, how do I apply this to my own self? I want to say that quickly. I studied computer science. I'm doing content creation. I have been a public speaker. That is, I was on PRO in my school, you know, from 200 level, 300 level, 400 level. I have been speaking. I got to NYSC. I was made PRO again in the Muslim Association. Let me break this to you all. Just some days ago, I was selected, I use that word, as president of my CDS, which is the Digital Onboarded CDS. And now, this is me beginning to hold the whole thing, but I have to, I'm not going to just be the talker anymore. I'm now going to manage people. I'm going to address people with regards to big issues. I'm going to represent the CDS in many places.
You're stretching.
I'm stretching. I've left the circle of PRO. Now, this is no more PR. This is now PRESIDENT, president. So, it's nice. I will make sure to apply all these that have been mentioned in the video to myself. And then please, you watching this video, after liking, subscribing, and sharing, make sure you take a benefit. Let's move into the icebreaker time. All right, icebreaker one. As a historian, give us a history, short history of anything.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of us didn't know that before 1900, there was no geographical location known as Nigeria. All that existed were kingdom, chiefdom, emirates, caliphates, and the likes. Due to the Industrial Revolution happening in Europe, they needed a market and a place to source for their raw materials for industry, which led to the Berlin Conference of 1884/1885, and that led to the sharing of African continent like a piece of cake. Everybody had a share. Nigeria was given to Britain and the likes. And alongside, there were countries that wanted colonies because of prestige, not because they needed it for economic reasons. And so yeah, that's how it came about Nigeria. The source for raw materials and a market for the Europeans.
So icebreaker two. Sister Fatima.
Okay, now.
What's the worst thing that have ever happened to you while you were in school?
The worst thing that ever happened to me while I was in school actually turned out to be the best thing that happened to me while I was in school.
Fine.
As at 200 level, there was a day we went to check our results, and I dropped from a 4 point to a 3 point. It wasn't the 3.9, it wasn't the 3.8, it wasn't the 3.7. So imagine falling from a 4.2 and you're not even landing on a 3.9, a 3.7, or a 3.8. It was 3.6.
Okay.
And my friends, like, were still on their 4 points. Others dropped to 3.9 and the likes, but hey, Fatih was on 3.6. And I didn't know where I went wrong. Like, I understand that my activities had shifted. I had other priorities. But then it still wasn't making sense. And as I was going, one of my friends had a carryover, and I was telling her, your result is not bad. I was trying to console her, telling her words I needed to hear myself. And I was like, carryovers, they are not meant for goats, they are meant for human beings. You still write it and you come out better. And she was crying, she was going. Another of my classmates saw me, I was like, Fati, let me see your results now. And I gave him, I was like, and you're sad? If you see my own results, uncle. And he was on a 2.9. So I just collected my result and I was walking to the hostel and I saw a sister. Then I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I was just going gingerly on my own. And then she saw me and I was like, Pati, this is not the normal cheerful you. What happened? I was like, Kai, my GP dropped to sister. And then my tears was already running down.
Oh.
And then I was like, this isn't the end of the world. We would do better. So that was first semester results. And then the following week, my second semester 200 level results came out. And I had 3.99. And I was like, wow, I didn't actually read for this exam. I just freestyled the exam and my results really came out this nice.
Yeah.
If my results would come out this nice, if I didn't read, that means if I am to read, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
And so that semester was so hectic because I had some duties in MSSN, and so it was full of ups and downs. But again, I used every opportunity to read. While walking on the road, I was reading because I really needed my CGPA to go higher.
Yeah.
It was a situation of VP go rise or GP go rise. So yeah, so I was reading in the classroom, I was reading in the mocks, if I am gisting with you, I would have a way to relate what I have read to our conversation, besides its history. And so yeah, at the end of the day, my GP for that semester was around 4.5 something thereabout. That's a first class for that. So that was it.
All right, that's so nice. If I could draw my GP from 100 level to 400 level, it would be like this. It was at the top, it went down like this, it went down again, went down again, and it went up. I'm not going to mention the points,
You
but
must
yeah,
mention.
I'll see you on the text side. Yeah, so icebreaker 3, and then I'm going to pass it to Fatima.
So are you ready for the question?
Yeah, I'm ready for the question.
Are you sure? So tell us about a time you hemmed in a situation.
How am I smiling? All right. Should I say this on camera?
Yes, the time you hemmed in a situation.
Yeah, I think the hemming was the fact that I sat there saying, no, this thing must come, it must happen. And this was when I wanted to get married. Yeah, so I wanted to get married at the year 2019 ending to 20. And then long story short, there were a whole lot of issues, there were a whole lot of troubles, many things I've learned from. And yeah, it has made me, it didn't break me completely. But yeah, I hemmed, that is, I sat, I was just waiting that this change would just come. That thing would just come back to me for a very long time, close to almost a year, from early January to like late October. So I was there like, no, it can't happen. It can't happen. It must come back to me. But then, yeah, after a long while, I decided to be how, and I began to look for changes and moved around, invested in other things. That time I would use sleeping and thinking and, daydreaming. I decided to put it into other things, and yeah, realize this is me with you on the camera doing the tech side, and yes, I'll see you on the tech side.
See you on the tech side.
Yeah, very, very interesting session. The link to the book will be left in the description below. Make sure to download, and it's just an hour will do. You complete the book in an hour, but make sure you do it with full concentration and put your mind in it. With so much love from RMC, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos to your friends and family so that I will see you on the tech side.